Oh, hello, Lenit. How are you?
Good.
Okay.
Good. Nice to meet you.
If you want to ask any question, you can ask.
Okay. Shri Bagavath, if I understand your teaching correctly, you are saying the person has to come to conclusion that there is no work inside. No.
Psychologically, we have no work.
We have no work.
Our work is only in the external world. Psychologically, we should not have any work.
So, in my observation, in myself, I've found out that the normal state of my mind is work. Is always interfering, struggling, trying to control, and only when I notice it, then it stops. Then it releases and it goes naturally. But most of the time, it will try to control or to struggle or to manipulate. This is the normal. Sometimes if I sit for meditation, or not necessarily in meditation, during the day, just you notice, you notice your mind, and then some release is happening, and then the mind goes naturally. After some time, you go back to the normal state of struggling.
In the normal state, we have some struggle, some feeling of struggle.
Yeah. Only when you notice, then you can put down everything. Okay. No need to struggle. Otherwise, the struggling goes on. So it will not be a problem. But this mode of struggling is not good for the well-being of myself. Also, it can evoke action that may be harmful for others, for my wife, for children, like that. So my question is, is this intellectual understanding or conclusion is sufficient, or there needs to be some sort of noticing, some sort of seeing it, and they're struggling now.
So anyhow, psychologically, you have to accept yourself totally. Whether you are doing good thing or whether you are doing bad thing, you have to accept you psychologically. But you need not accept your action. The action must be perfect. You have to behave in a good manner to your wife, children, and other people. You have to select a goodness in your action. But psychologically, we have to accept. We have to wholeheartedly accept yourself. Wholeheartedly. Whatever happens, everything is good. So there is no correction within yourself. If you try to maintain yourself in a good state, so there is a problem. So some self struggle will go on within you. So if you try to maintain yourself in a good state, it is a anxiety to maintain yourself. But naturally, some natural thing happens, something. It may be in a bad way, it may be in a good way, but whatever it be, if you try to set right anything psychologically, naturally we are in the way of struggle to maintain something. So some manual struggle is not necessary. Unconsciously, whatever happens, let it happen unconsciously. Unconsciously, some struggle may happen, doesn't matter. But don't do it consciously. So if you deliberately try to set right yourself in a good position, that will create a problem within yourself. So naturally, but whenever something, if you behave mistakenly, the moment you behave mistakenly, then you will conscious of the mistaken behavior. So next moment you will be all right. So it will be all right naturally. You need not try to do it manually. It will have the set right of everything will happen naturally. So you need not worry about that.
In the teaching of, let's say, the Buddhism, they would say you have four ways of dealing with what is. The first way is you identify. You don't know even what's happening. Let's say fear comes up. You totally identified with the fear and with the emotions and the thoughts coming, and you are you are in the, they say, in the movie of the fear, and you cannot get out of it. This is one way. So most of the people are caught up in this identification mode. They are not even in the second stage or third stage. The second stage would try to avoid not feeling. No, I don't want to feel this feeling. The third stage would be replacing. You have like you have a bad thought, negative thought, and you try to put positive thought to replace the negative. But most of the people, most of us, we are in the first stage. We identify completely. There comes an emotion of anger, and you are caught.
First stage is identifying with the anger.
Yes.
Second stage?
Second, some people try to avoid. Let's say this.
When we identify anger, then try to avoid anger.
Yes, you try to. Okay, this man is making me angry. Now I go to the other side of the street. I don't.
Okay.
Or if I have lustful nature, I will become a monk. I will go to the monastery. I will not see anybody, and like that. This is the avoidance. The third is trying to, if you have a negative, you replace it with a positive. So if, let's say, you have angry thoughts, then you say, okay, I go to do service. I will do good actions. And this is what. And the fourth way is what you say. You just don't do anything. You just. But for most of us, we are in the first. And if I, this is what I think. If I just, if you just let it be unconsciously, then it goes on and on. You're just caught up in this identification, and nothing really changed. You can go the life after life like that.
So the first stage is the identification.
Yeah.
The identification, the next stage starts. First of all, we may have some bad emotion or thought. That is the first stage, and we identify.
Yes.
We are having bad thought, bad emotion. The second stage, the first stage is natural because each and everybody is in the first stage.
Yes.
Then only we
go to the next.
So what we have to do in the next stage? The next stage means, in the next stage, all our the whole teachings of the world we have to do like this or should not do like this. So in this way, next stage, everything.
All the strategies.
The struggle against ourselves.
Yes.
What we have to do within ourselves.
Yes.
So here, one more thing we have to recognize. For each and everything, for example, we are having good feeling for happiness. The happiness is going on. When happiness is going on, we forget ourselves. We don't conscious of that. So because we forget ourselves, everything is okay. So we forget ourselves, simply forget ourselves. But at the same time, some agony, sorrow, or suffering comes, then we are vigilant. We want to tackle everything. We have to be free from the sorrow. We have to be free from the suffering. So the first aspect that if it is a happiness, there is no problem. So if it is sorrow, it creates problem. So why the sorrow creates problem and how we act related to this sorrow. For example, we recognize everything only with the help of our thought. If there is no thought, if there is no thought, we cannot identify anything, we cannot understand anything. So with the help of the thought alone, we have to identify anything. For example, some friend is coming. We look at our friend with the eyesight. With the eyesight alone, we look at our friend, but we cannot recognize. The eyesight cannot recognize anything. So the eyesight is the first step that we bring everything within ourselves. With the help of our sight, with the help of our seeing, we bring the image of our friend. The next moment, our intellect come into the scene. The intellect takes the role of the thought. Then with the help of the thought, we recognize that is our friend. So in this way, with some happiness comes, some sorrow comes. With the help of our thought alone, we recognize it is a happiness, it is a sorrow. So the thought alone is the cause for everything, or thought or intellect, whatever it be. So with the help of the intellect or with the help of the thought, we recognize something. So the recognition alone creates another step. So each and every recognition, if we recognize, so the thought is two-folded, it is a double-sided. The one side is for example, I am looking at my friend. The one portion of the thought is looking at and recognize he is my friend. The second portion of the same thought recognize that I am recognizing him as our friend. So the second part of the thought recognize myself, and the first part of the thought recognize the friend. So the both assumes a single thought. The single thought is two-sided. For just like a coin, one part of the coin is myself, the other part of the same coin is my friend. So with the help of the thought, with the help of the coin, we recognize something. The recognition is two-folded. One part of the recognition is friend. The other part of the same recognition is myself. So it recognizes both. So here, so the I consciousness or myself trying to set right. For example, in this way, if I recognize our friend, in the same way, I recognize my happiness and I recognize the sorrow. If we recognize the sorrow through our thought, I don't mind that because it is okay. to the happiness is okay. When the happiness is going on, myself is also okay. So the both side of the same coin is okay. The both side is okay. So, but if the happening is a sorrow, the sorrow is not okay, because I want to be, because it is somewhat painful. We feel the pain of the sorrow. So here, I am not is okay. I am not okay with the pain. I am not okay with the sorrow. So actually, the sorrow is the other side of myself, and one side is me, the other side is the sorrow. So the I consciousness wants to get rid of the sorrow. The one part of the coin wants to get rid of the other part of the same coin. So it is impossible. So here, actually, the sorrow is not the problem. The me is the problem. The myself is the problem. The myself select action. The myself selects something to do. So here, it's if actually we think the sorrow is the problem. Actually, the sorrow is not the problem. The dealer, the person who is dealing the sorrow is alone creating the problem. So here we have to be cautious with the dealer of the problem alone, the dealer of the sorrow. The sorrow is not the problem. The problem is not the problem. The person who is dealing the problem alone is the real problem. So here we have to be, actually, the real enemy, the real culprit is the I consciousness, the me. That is the problem. So here, if anybody, if you want to throw away the pain, if you want to throw away the pain, we have to throw away along with the I consciousness. So because it is part of the same coin, if we want to remove the pain, you have to throw the coin itself. When we throw the coin means you're throwing the both side of the coin. If you retain one side of the coin and we have to throw away the other side of the coin alone, if you think like that, nothing will happen. It will create some unnecessary vicious circle within ourselves. So no problem will be solved. So actually, the problem creator is only the I consciousness alone is the problem creator. So we have to be careful with the creator alone, with the I consciousness alone, because it creates everything. If you are happy, there is no problem. But when we are in a problematic situation, we want to be free from the problem, and we think the me is doing a good thing, but the me is alone creating the problem, the bad thing. So the me alone is the creating a knot within ourselves with the problem, and we cannot away from the knot. So actually, what is happening here is that our effort to be all right is the problem. So here, the person who is trying to create the effort is the me. The me alone is the real problem. Ramana Maharishi also, sometimes he is also saying that. For example, so one thief entered into a crowd, and the crowd, the thief stole away something, and the crowd becomes vigilant, and they are trying to catch the thief, and the thief himself take the role of the catcher, and where is thief, saying like this, he escaped from this. So in this way, the me is alone, as if doing something good, it creates the bad thing. So the real problem is the I consciousness, because each and everything we recognize through our intellect, through our thought. So thought is two-folded. Each thought is just like a coin, and the coin has two sides. In this way, each and every thought has two sides. One thought, one part of the thought, one side of the thought is the me. The other side of the same thought is the observed or observer. Observer and observer. Both are same. But keeping the observer permanently and the observed alone, we have to deal with the observed. So it is, we have to deal with both, observer and observed. We have to deal with both. That is the correct thing. Moreover, each and every moment, everything is going away. Nothing is staying there. So that is the nature of the thought, nature of the happening. Each and every moment, psychologically, each and every moment is a new moment. There is no old moment. Only because of trying to do something alone, thereby we are renewing the old thing. Otherwise, the old thing will go away naturally. We need not correct anything psychologically. So the understand alone is needed. If you understand, we have no work psychologically, that means we need not correct anything. If you try to correct anything, if you try to separate anything, the me becomes alive, the me becomes powerful. So the me always demands something to correct something, to make some perfection of anything. So in this way, the endless struggle go on endlessly.
But this is the situation, no? If there is something unpleasant, then the me automatically resists the situation of feeling unwell. The me wants to avoid the situation, and there is a struggle. So it happens automatically.
But the external action is concerned, the me is necessary. Without the me, we cannot deal with the situation. The me have to select the situation. But psychologically, I have to be good. Psychologically, I have to be correct. I have to be perfect. I have to be happy. I should not be unhappy. I should not be sorrow. So if it is psychological, the me is the problem. But in the external work, we have to separate the situation. To separate the situation, we can entertain the me. The me is good. The me have to select the way. The me have to find out the solution to the situation. We have to entertain the me for the external situation, external action. But psychologically, what I have to be in this situation, so that is, in that situation, the me is the real enemy.
So I feel that when I recognize that the me wants to, I cannot control the reaction of the me. Like the me reacts in a natural way, right? Whatever it happens.
So if you create another me to deal with the me, so it is the me itself. So you have to put down the me itself. Whatever it be, let it be. I may be wrong, let it be. So you have to accept yourself wholeheartedly. So that is a surrender. So you have to psychologically, you have to surrender to yourself. You have no work, you have no business. You have to surrender yourself.
So this is what you mean when you say your failure is your victory.
Failure is the victory.
Failure is the victory.
Psychologically.
You see yourself fail. I can see myself fail so many times.
You have to be defeated within yourself.
Yeah, defeated, exactly. Because you don't want to be like that. You want to be open, you want to be
should not be
centered.
victorious. You should not be victorious psychologically.
Yeah.
You have to be defeated within yourself.
But as I see it, Shri Bagavath, for this surrender to happen, there has to be a noticing. You have to notice, this is happening, now I'm struggling. But it could be that, you don't notice, and years go by, you will not notice, and you have the idea, I don't need to interfere. But actually, you don't notice, and you are struggling, and there is no notice, and there is no real change.
So when you notice like this, you have to also notice that the unnecessary eye consciousness is coming to the picture. So you have to notice also that also. The unnecessary thing come into the picture. The problem comes, yeah, at the same time you notice the problem, at the same time you have to know the unnecessary thing creates the problem. You have to notice also that.
Yes. What I'm suggesting is that, I don't know.
Your question, first question.
You may record. That it also may be come into the record.
So your question to Shri Bagavath is, only if I become conscious of the negative emotions,
the struggling,
then only it is possible to bring forth awareness, then to solve it or accept it, whatever it is.
Just the noticing is enough. No need no need for action. Yeah. Just the noticing of but most of us are caught up in this first stage of you're just identified. You don't even have the you're just in the mud. You don't
you are describing the problem. The observation in the problem, there is a mistake in it. As Shri Bagavath said, anything happiness, you will be one with it. Mm-hmm. So when something unpleasant happens, it itself shows. You will not bring awareness. Yes. So automatically it shows. Then you become conscious of that unpleasantness automatically. Then you try to, as you said in second step, resist. In third step, replace. You were describing the fourth step. So that happens only when consciousness comes. So Shri Bagavath is saying, through acceptance, you become again unconscious. It's not asking you to become conscious. He is asking you to become unconscious.
To become unconscious or just not taking any action toward
through acceptance, how you are unconscious to happiness. Like that you are, because automatically pain will create consciousness. Through acceptance, you create unconsciousness, not the other way as you posted.
So you say that the pain itself, suffering itself, it wakes you up. Okay. Now, and in this waking up, now you have a choice. Either you try to do something, or you say no.
No. For example, we will some enemy is coming. On seeing the enemy, naturally some unpleasant feeling comes. Because we recognize he is enemy. Naturally some unpleasant feeling comes. And that is the first stage. So the next stage, what we have to do? So that means, we want to be free from the
bad feeling,
the inimical feeling. So it's unpleasant feeling. Who is want to free from the unpleasant feeling? The me is alone wants to be free. So if you understand, that is the mistaken claim. If you feel you understand the mistaken claim, then you go to the unconscious. As our friend says, you again go to the unconscious state. In the conscious state, you are unpleasant. The moment you understand that some eye consciousness alone claim, I want to be free from the inimical feeling. So the inimical feeling alone creates unnecessary. So if you understand like this, the inimical problem alone is the problem. Then you once again that means you go to unconscious means the unpleasant feeling goes away. That means because moment it is every moment by moment it is going away. It is not unless you look it correctly, it renews itself. The unpleasant feeling renews itself and goes on renewing, and it lasts for some more time. Otherwise, it is momentary. Conscious, unconscious is coming simultaneously. So it naturally don't go to the unconscious state. But when that means naturally it is natural, the I consciousness want to create the situation good. So by creating the situation good, it creates the situation bad. So we have to understand the falsehood of the I consciousness, the false idea, false effort of the I consciousness. If you understand the false effort of the I consciousness, then once again you go to the unconscious state, the natural state. So everything comes and comes, that will go naturally.
Okay.
But Shri Bagavath, you say that it's important to act in a perfect way outwardly. Now, any situation that arises in life, you cannot separate it from outward happening, right? Yeah, it comes with the outward happening. As you see your enemy, or an outer situation provokes something inside. So you are always required, in a way, to you say you are required to act in a righteous way, in a good way, in a positive way, whatever it means. And then I think it makes a pressure on me to act or to feel or in a right way, so I can also act it outside. Otherwise, I can act out in a bad way, right? If I'm, let's say, I get angry and I take out the anger.
So you are dealing with the external action or psychological? You deal with the external action.
I say, how can you separate it? Because it comes, the inner situation is always related to an outer situation. So how can you, if I can manage to not to interfere inside, inwardly, I mean, there is a link. I find a link that because I have the responsibility, I need to be able to respond in the outward situation. Then it makes it a bit more complicated, right? Because you need to behave. Because the me is who takes the actions, who is taking the actions. I mean,
for externally, some unnecessary thing goes on, we have to do it correctly. So we may be affected upon the unnecessary thing. For enemy comes, and we have some anxiety to deal with him. And the anxiety is good. With the help of the anxiety alone, we have to deal with the person. But at the same time, if you think that we need not deal with him unnecessarily, but at the same time, the inimical relationship alone, inimical feeling alone comes within ourselves. And we want to be free from the inimical relationship, inimical experience. The experience, if you want to be free from the inimical experience, psychological experience, then only it is purely psychological. But if it is related to the physical, both psychological and physical joins together, then we have to use the psychological response to the external world. For then you have to select in what way we have to deal. We have to deal with the other person harshly or softly. That you have to decide. If you decide, for example, even though he may be a wrongdoer, and we can come to a conclusion that we have to deal with the other person roughly. We have to deal with him softly. If you come to a conclusion like this, some good emotion will come naturally. Your conclusion creates good emotion within yourself. But at the same time, I have to deal with him roughly. Then, if you decide like this, some rough emotion alone will come. So decision alone may create emotion within yourself. But if it is related to the external work, we have to do like this. But there is no external work, only psychological work alone is there. Then if it is a totally psychological problem alone is there, externally the work is over, it is finished. The psychological hangover alone is going on. Then here we have to dismiss the doer. The doer, I consciousness, the doer alone is the problem.
That question is specifically asked. If external situation is not good, you are asking me to do in a perfect way, in a good way in the external world. While doing that, I feel little stressed because if unwanted relatives comes to my home, I have to smile, I have to greet with them. For that, I have to shape my psychological stuff to greet them in a positive way. So that is stressful.
But you have to decide. If you decide, I have to behave like this. If you take a decision, if you willingly take the decision like this, some good emotion will come to suit with your action.
If I'm not taking that decision, it will be problematic.
If you do not, if you hesitantly take the decision, the hesitation alone will come. You have to strongly decide. We have to be in a good manner. We have to treat him in a good way. You have to decide correctly. If you do not able to decide correctly, your behavior will not be correct.
Then naturally, my psychological stuff will be stressful.
So being able to decide correctly, doesn't it require some? It requires some awareness. It requires some, I will just take a situation with my son. Okay, I have something with my son is doing something not correct, and I react. Okay, so I maybe have the insight that it's not good to react in a bad way because he's just a child. But still, the emotions can be sometimes overwhelming, and although I know it's not the correct way, but the emotions are overwhelming and they affect my behavior without me deciding.
So here, burst of feeling creates some action. So that is, we have to excuse that. So after the finishing of the action, then you can recognize that you have burst of feeling. You have to treat him badly. So you need not blame for yourself. So it is a burst of feeling. It will be, everybody will be doing like that. That will be the nature of everybody. You have to, but anyhow, you have to decide. Even though it may be such kind of burst of feeling, you have to be aware of the burst of feeling. So if you one time, if you decide like this, in another time, if the same thing happen, but rarely it will happen. In the burst of feeling will happen, but it will take some more time for the next occurrence. For first time, it will happen. It will natural. It is natural for everybody, not only for you. It is a natural for everybody.
So you mean there is a natural learning?
Natural.
Like with time, with experience, you learn.
But these all in the external things. But for that you have to decide. You have to plan.
But for me, if I can say, for me, it's I cannot. I can also only deal, let's say, with my inner world. I mean, the focus. I cannot focus on being good outside and like acting good, and inwardly being not reacting inwardly. I cannot do both. I can do only one thing. I can do when I'm able not to interfere in my inward psychic, then I'm able maybe to act in a better way.
So something maybe accident or anything, immediately you have to respond. Some happening, you cannot be pre-planned. So it is a happening. So for that, whatever happens psychologically, let it be. It is okay. If it is a planned one, external action. So you have to decide properly. If you decide properly, so proper response you can create proper response. Psychological also you can create a proper response. But it is purely related to the external thing.
It seems, I remember you once quoted in your book, you quoted J.Krishnamurti saying, how is it possible that so many years I'm teaching? Where is the wrong? How is it that? And now I'm thinking, we met you maybe 12 years ago. 12 years. So even in the first month, I understood what you said. At least I think I understood. I don't know. I understood, at least intellectually, what you said. But still, I don't see like the freedom that you enjoy. Like in your case, it doesn't come back anymore. There is just the free flow.
But whenever you understood, naturally the understanding will not go away from you, because that means you have to accept yourself wholeheartedly. It may be a good thing, it may be a bad thing. You have to accept yourself. That is the teaching.
Yes, but sometimes, many times,
if you try to blame yourself, then you are go away from the teaching.
But
you have to keep yourself within the teaching.
A lot of time, I see myself struggling, and then I say, oh, maybe something I didn't understand correctly. I thought I understood, but I don't, because if I understood correctly, then struggling will cease. No more struggling. Okay, I don't mind bad feelings. I don't mind. Bad feelings is okay, but the struggling.
So you have to accept the struggle itself. So when it is purely psychological, you have to accept yourself wholeheartedly. So
the understanding is there. Whether you understand or not, struggle will go on.
Let me.
So because we are living with other people, so everything will reflect upon ourselves. So unnecessary emotion will come. It is natural. So if you think good emotion alone can come, unnecessary alone should not come.
No, with the emotion, I'm already okay. Bad emotion, good emotion, it's okay. But the thing is the struggle. I see in myself that I don't say there's no improvement. There is. I see improvement over time, but it's not a one-time event. Okay, I understand, finish. I can see getting better, but it's not one time.
Externally, there is no problem. You can be better always. But the problem presses you, naturally will be.
There will come another time, and let's say in the period of the corona, the COVID period. So there was both of us went into the thinking about who is behind the corona, why is it done, maybe there's harmful, somebody wants to put poison in the vaccination, and from that and I was caught up in that for 3 years, reading and investigating, and of course it influenced the psychic. You are always in this kind of thinking and like that. And then the only thing that could take me out from this situation, suddenly I met, not in a person, but with a book, some Jewish rabbi, and he was saying, like everything is done by God. Okay, so it's finished. The COVID is done by God, the Corona is done by God, vaccination is done by God. This took me out. And then, but then I had to find myself again. And again I open up the investigation, again doing the I am, doing the self-inquiry, as if I'm starting over. And after 1-2 years, I again come to the same conclusion, nothing to do with this. What I'm saying is not like one-time understanding, finish, then there's the rule. It's maybe in your case like that. In my case, I don't feel like, yes, I understood it intellectually one time, and then no more struggling, no more, you know, bad feeling. Okay, bad feeling must come if, like you say, if a bad situation is there, if the sickness is there, or bad feeling will come. But the struggling with the bad feeling, this is the problem. Otherwise, so this still goes on. And this I say, okay, why is it going on? If I understood correctly, it should stop.
So you have to separate the physical things also. Everything is done by God. So then you are separate the physical thing also. Thereby you suffer psychologically all right. So in this way you connect.
The both, see. Yes, otherwise you are always living in fear. There are some bad people who want to do something. But if you say, this is God, God is doing only good things, so it's okay, no problem. He has a good intention behind it. But what I'm saying, Shri Bagavath, is that it seems, in my case, it's not one-time understanding and then finish with the struggle. It is like a process. No, not one time. I understood, and then okay, there is still things, but no more no more struggling. The I inside, it becomes it doesn't struggle anymore. It is flowing. This I don't see this is happening. Getting better, yes, but not one time finished and.
So that is a kind of idea for doing everything is done by God. So in the external action is concerned, we are also creating some concept like this. Everything is done by God or total mind. If we are not responsible. So for the future action is concerned, we have to seek the help of the God or total mind, whatever it be. But the psychological is concerned, happening. So naturally happening. We should not have unnecessarily struggle with ourselves. So psychological work is something and the external world is something. If it is related to the external world, we cannot come to a conclusion like this. Something is happening. We have to answer the situation. We have to expect some unnecessary danger. So if you rely upon the total mind look after, or God will look after everything, then you can courageously you can go along. So that is also related to the external world, not psychological. Psychological means only one rule. This is happening. There is no doing.
But still, even though I accept this idea and I agree, no,
but
still struggling may go on.
It is related because of the external situation. Because of the external situation influences you. But you have to answer the external situation. If you do not know how to answer the external situation, it will influence repeatedly. So you have to finish the external situation. So here the concept may be helpful to deal with the external situation.
The concept of God doing everything.
It is some action. The external situation means whether it may be your action or other person action or the society action, whatever it be. Action related matter has to be dealt with in this way. Total mind or God, that alone you have to deal with that. We have to invite the role of the God and the role of the total mind. Otherwise, we cannot be peaceful. But psychological world is concerned, peace and distress is same. There is no difference with peace and distress.
Yes.
Everything is one.
Yes. So let me ask it in a different way. Why do you think some people understand it and there is a immediate change, and others, they listen to you, but still the change is not absolute. There is some change, but not total change. Why is some people understand, others they come also, they listen, they understand, but not there is no big change.
But if anybody who understands, they will not blame himself. He would accept him totally, wholeheartedly. Whatever comes, that is the nature of yourself. But action is related. It is
no. I don't. No. Let's put the outer world aside. Only the inner. But some people seem to listen to you, and there is the big change after 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 1 year.
Change means the conclusion alone is the change.
Yes.
You have to conclude.
The conclusion. But the conclusion brings you to liberation. If the conclusion is firm, then liberation is following. So it's like there is a free flow of the emotions. Can be bad emotion, but anyway they are flowing. Anyway they are flowing. So some people come to this conclusion. Some people listening to you not coming. Why? Why is that?
They may have some doubt or some hidden expectation may be there. Only unless if they don't have any hidden expectation, the understanding will not go away.
So the expectation is, I expect some inner.
So you expect some standard within yourself.
Yes.
I have to be like this.
Yeah.
If you maintain any standard within yourself, the standard alone decide whether you accept, whether you understand or not. If you do not have any standard within yourself, then that means you have to. The understanding means you have to put down the standard.
Mm-hmm. But then the me can create another standard that says I need to not to have any standard, like it's.
So whatever it be, the real understanding means you should not have any standard within yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But
if you create any standard, that means I am not right.
Right.
So the standard alone tells you that I am not correct. I have not properly understood. If I properly understood, I will not be like this.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So what's standing behind this
expectation?
Like, I mean, why?
So we have to accept ourselves wholeheartedly. We have to surrender yourself. Psychologically, we have no work. We have to surrender yourself. We have to wholeheartedly. You have to take everything is the action of God Himself, not externally. Psychologically, you have to accept yourself. Everything is the action of God Himself. That is the first and last step. You have to accept yourself wholeheartedly. Everything is the action of God.
Is it a gradual process or not necessarily? Like, can this insight be something that you learn to get familiar with?
Because of your inquiry, you have to come to a conclusion like this.
Mm-hmm.
Your conclusion must be correct. If you do not conclude properly, you have to change the conclusion.
Let me try now. Emotions, there is good and bad emotions. So naturally it is there. So we can't say there should be only good emotions. So naturally good and bad emotions are there. And the intellect is designed to expect only good emotion. That is also naturally designed. So now we grow a new intellect, saying that emotions nature is to show both good and bad. Intellect nature is to select only, expect only good emotions. These two are like this, is what the understanding of the third intellect. That's what we call enlightenment. So it's natural for intellect to resist the emotions. That's what's going on inside. I didn't create the bad emotion. I didn't ask the enlightenment to fight with the emotion. These both fights are going on. These both are natural. Is what my understanding. That is the second intellect. That's what we call the understanding. So intellect is not. It's not me wanting to resist. Intellect is designed. When something bad happens, it's natural to jump off the intellect on that and to remove it. That's the design of intellect. These two are fighting. It's doing that both jobs.
And in the case of Shri Bagavath, is still fighting? This process is still happening?
Yeah, because it's not happening. Because another intellect has developed, which says these both are okay. Bad emotions coming okay, and intellect trying to bad emotions also okay. A new intellect has been developed. So this process has become little diluted. Because it doesn't get energy. Only in fight they get energy. So naturally, when it gets accepted, for example, if a dog comes, it bites some rope or your cloth, you pull away, it will pull more force. So the game is going on. When you relax, automatically after some time, the dog also leaves the toy and goes away.
Okay.
We are conducting confirmation muham also. Just like enlightenment camp, we are conducting confirmation camp also. In the confirmation camp, one person told his experience. Before understanding, I have got anger. Before understanding, before enlightenment, I used to have anger. Now, after understanding also, I have anger. So previously, what I thought is that the anger should not come to me. Now I am thinking, this is the anger of an enlightened person. So, even before enlightenment, you may have sorrow. Before enlightenment, you may struggle with sorrow. I should not have sorrow. But after enlightenment, you may have sorrow. So it is the sorrow of the enlightened person. You have to consider it is a part and parcel of the enlightened person.
With the sorrow, I told you, I don't have a problem. With struggling against sorrow, this is the... sorrow I accept, bad feeling, good feeling, what to do? This is life. This is why it's happening. But the expectation maybe that I have is that the struggling will stop. Struggling against the bad emotion will stop.
Struggling means you want to keep yourself in a good position alone creates the struggling. If you have to accept yourself as a natural. Whatever happens, it is natural. So you have to accept it, whatever happens. Psychology, whether the physical or psychological, you have to understand. If you separate, if it is purely psychological, then it is natural.
Okay. Let's look at it in another angle. There is a Buddhist practice, Tibetan Buddhist. And they would say rest for short moments during the day. You don't separate the meditation from your everyday, but every time you remember naturally, you just relax, let everything be as it is, surrender inside, no, outside, surrender. And they say, because the mind is habitually, he has the habit of fighting against himself. Now, in order to reverse this habit, you have to introduce him to a different way of being. How to be with surrender. So, and they say it has to be experiential. You have to see and to notice it, and to every time you remember, you just relax. You let the mind flow.
So here, maintaining yourself in a good state, it is implied. So all practice implied to maintain yourself in a good state.
No. In this practice, no. I tell you why. In this practice, you don't try to create a good state. You just relax with whatever. Even if it's sorrow, it is sorrow now.
So that means relaxing in the bad state is getting a relaxation in the bad state is also a practice. It is a effort.
Yes, but this is the same as the understanding brings you to the same point, no? The understanding, I don't have any work, is what does it do? It really makes you relax because you have nothing to do. Now you are relaxed. Yes, if you have the conclusion.
So if you practice, if you expect a result, that means it is a practice. If you accept it wholeheartedly, that means. But anyhow, you have to make it as a practice. When you practice, when you try to do it as a practice, then struggle will be there.
There is two things here. Now, one is this is why they say only when you remember naturally. You don't you don't have to do it in 7 o'clock and then no. If you remember, you relax. And the other thing is it's just for a short moment. You don't try to make it a long moment. So this also helps you not to make it a struggle. It's just to teach, to introduce the mind to another way of being, because the mind doesn't know anything else but struggle. It only knows struggle.
So struggle means the me alone creates the problem. The me wants to establish a good state. The me is the problem.
Yes.
The me alone creates the practice of everything. So it is we are giving importance to the me, the problem creator. All practice gives strength to the me.
In this practice, it's not really a practice because you don't do anything. You just remind yourself there's nothing need to be done.
But anyway, if you do it as a practice, that means the me alone creates the practice. And me alone introduce the practice. The me alone expects something.
It may start like that, but once you get into it...
So if you have any practice, with the help of the practice, you dismiss the me. Then that will be good.
Exactly. In the end, in the beginning, you can take this practice in the hope you will reach a good state. But after, sometimes you understand that really the good state is when you, like you say, you just put down the weapon. No weapons. No. This is the rest. This is the real rest. Is like, I don't do anything anymore. Finished. I don't try to do anything. Not even to rest and not to have a good state and not anything. It's just letting go completely. Whatever happens is okay. It's fine. If it goes on, this suffering, it's okay. It's fine. It's not really a practice.
But anyhow, the person who is doing all those things alone creates the problem. So you have to, the problem creator, we have to dismiss the problem creator. That's the real solution.
But who will do it? Who will do it?
So you have to understand. The very understanding that I am the problem maker, you have to you have to understand yourself that I am the problem maker. Then you have to understand, because who is questioning, the questioner has to understand that he himself is the problem.
So when you say that you have no inner work, it means that whatever you try to do, whatever you're trying to do is the problem, right? Any movement of the me, trying to make it right, trying to get rid of sorrow. So any movement is a wrong movement.
And externally, your movement is correct. Psychologically, if you want to establish anything, the person who is trying to establish something alone is the problem. So you have to understand, the understanding alone will solve. Your effort will not solve. But as a general principle, psychologically we have no work. Whatever comes will go away naturally. That is the main rule. Everything is a momentary. Whatever comes will go away naturally. We need not create anything. We need not remove anything. We need not keep anything. That is the main understanding. But if some problem comes, even in spite of this understanding, if any problem comes, you have to dismiss yourself, not the problem.
I think the mind is getting is getting convinced of this when he has the experience. When he has experience, I didn't, let's say I have sorrow, and for the first time I didn't do anything with this sorrow. And suddenly the sorrow is starting to flow, and then you have this experience and say, this is really this is really good.
It is a good technique. I have to follow this technique and keep me without sorrow.
But it's not a technique, because every time you have to surrender. If you don't really surrender, it's not working. So it's not really a technique. You cannot make it a technique. How can you make it a technique?
So anyhow, we seek some pleasure out of everything. Thereby we conquer sorrow, and we get a pleasure out of conquering sorrow. In this way,
not conquering sorrow. The opposite. It's surrendering to sorrow.
So anyhow, surrendering to sorrow, that means we are by way of surrendering, we are conquering sorrow, and thereby we get some happiness or pleasure. In this way, we demand pleasure in some way or other. So the pleasure alone is the deceptive game. In some way or other, we try to have some pleasurable state. That is the nature of the operation of the I consciousness. I want to be safe, I want to be pleasurable, and it looks convincing.
Okay, but what in the meantime? In the meantime, let's say you didn't understand, what can you do? So in the meantime, it's better to surrender to what is. It's less suffering, less. I agree what you say. It's still the me trying to, okay, but if understanding does not happen, it didn't happen, let's say. It didn't happen. This is the fact. What can I do? It didn't happen.
I do something, as you said, but I want some result out of that. So expecting some future. You are not ready to end. We expect some future out of that.
This is another expectation, you're still attached to experience, you still want something
no,
from the experience.
Some future, we want some future.
Yeah.
We are ready to die.
But Shri Bagavath, you cannot. It's already. You cannot. I mean, even people who come to you, they will come because they want to solve the suffering. They want to end the suffering. And you tell them, okay, you want to end the suffering, you have to understand there is no inner work. There is no work to be done in the inner world. That's it. You have to come to this conclusion. If you are firm in this conclusion, this will lead you to liberation. This is the experience of the free flow of what is from moment to moment. So they hear this. This is also coming from the me that wants to be free of the... Why the me wants to understand. He wants to understand because he... What I'm saying is you cannot avoid it. You cannot avoid that the me will... Even the people who come to you, they come to you because they're me wanting to end sorrow.
They want to have a better experience.
And they say, okay, and you tell them, okay, through understanding you will...
So when we understand properly, we have to dismiss the psychological world. We have only the physical world alone. Physically, we have any work, we have to plan the work. Psychologically, all planning, all struggle, all investigation, everything is struggle within ourselves. So whether it is psychological or physical, if you ask a question, whether it is purely psychological or physical, you have to do something, you have to plan something, you have to prepare yourself, you have to decide something. But here, you have to put down everything. Here, surrender alone is away. That means we have no work. If you entertain any work, it is an endless work. It becomes an endless work. You have to end the work. So psychologically you have to die. Physically you have to live.
It seems like there are some people who understand it completely and some they somewhat understand, but it's not going all the way. And what to do? It's like they asked Ramana, you remember, they asked Ramana why some people understand, and he says, why the sun come up and some flowers open, some others don't open. Why it's like that? It's like that.
So here, if you expect any result within yourself, the base alone is wrong. Don't expect any result within yourself. Then it is against our understanding. If you any result within yourself, that means all result is foolish because you have to put down yourself. You have to die. You should not live psychologically. Then you are encouraged. You are living within yourself. You have to put a full stop to yourself. If you mistakenly you may put a comma, doesn't matter. But if you understand, then if you mistakenly you put a comma after something, then you put a full stop again, once again. That's the thing. If you try to maintain yourself in a good state, that's an endless game. The intellect is always trying to separate everything in a perfection. That is the role of the intellect. It wants perfection psychologically also. So here we have to put down the intellect. Intellect have no business. Intellect is only external. Psychologically, intellect alone is the enemy.